In Europe, this food comes with a warning label printed right on the front of the package. It says the colors inside may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. In America, the exact same colors are in the exact same kinds of foods with no warning at all. Same ingredient, same science. Two completely different decisions about what you have a right to know. So today, we're opening the case on artificial food dyes, where they come from, why one continent slapped a warning on them, and what's finally starting to change. Let's start with what these dyes really are. You'll see them on labels with friendly, simple names. Red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1. They sound harmless, almost cheerful. But here's the first thing the label doesn't tell you. Most of these synthetic dyes are made from petroleum. The same crude oil refined into fuel is the starting point for the bright colors in a lot of candy, cereal, sports drinks, and snacks marketed straight at kids. Take Red 40, the most widely used dye of them all. On the label, it's two short words. Its actual chemical name is a long string of letters and numbers most people couldn't pronounce. The friendly name hides how engineered this stuff really is. And these colors do one job. They don't add nutrition. They don't add flavor. They exist purely to make food look more appealing, brighter, more fun, more tempting, especially to children. That's the entire purpose, to sell you on how it looks. Which raises an obvious question. If a color adds nothing but visual appeal, why would another part of the world decide it needed a warning? Here's where the two stories split. Back in 2010, the European Union made a decision. Any food containing certain synthetic dyes would have to carry a warning right on the label. These colors may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. Think about how significant that is. A government looked at the research and decided parents had a right to be warned on the package before they buy it, that the colors inside might affect their child's behavior. That decision was driven by research, including a now famous British study that suggested a link between these dyes and increased hyperactivity in some children. The science isn't a slam dunk, and researchers still debate exactly how strong the effect is and which kids it affects. But Europe's regulators decided the concern was serious enough to act on. They chose caution, and that warning label did something powerful. Rather than print "may affect your child's attention" on their products, many companies in Europe simply reformulated. They swapped the synthetic dyes for natural colors made from things like beets, paprika, and carrots. The warning was enough to change the food itself. Now, here's the part that gets people. Many of those very same companies kept using the synthetic petroleum-based dyes in their American products. Same brand, same item. Cleaner version for Europe because the law required it. Original version for you because here, it didn't. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just what happens when one set of regulators requires disclosure and another doesn't. So why didn't America do the same thing? Part of the answer is a difference in philosophy. In the US, these dyes are listed on the ingredients label by name, so technically the information is there. The reasoning has long been that if it's on the label, you can choose to avoid it. But think about how that actually works in real life. To avoid these dyes, you'd have to read the full ingredient list of every single product, every time in every store, and know which color codes to look for. A warning on the front of the package does the work for you. A name buried in a list of 40 ingredients does not. So it's not that America hid the information. It's that the two systems made very different choices about how much responsibility to put on you, the shopper, versus on the company to warn you up front. Europe put the burden on the product. America put it on you. Okay, because there's one more twist, and it's the most important part. Here's what's changed recently, and it's a big deal. In January 2025, US regulators finally banned one of these dyes, red dye number 3, from foods after decades of evidence it caused cancer in animal studies. Then they went further, announcing a plan to phase out the remaining major synthetic dyes, red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, and others, from the American food supply with a deadline a couple of years out. In other words, America is now slowly moving toward what Europe did years ago. The colors that have been in your food for decades are finally on their way out, at least the synthetic versions. but on their way out is not the same as gone. During this transition period, these dyes are still completely legal and still sitting in thousands of products on shelves right now. The candy aisle, the cereal aisle, the sports drinks, the brightly colored snacks. Until those deadlines hit, the only thing standing between you and these dyes is whether you read the label. So the power comes back to the same place it always does, knowing what to look for. First, now you know the names. Red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1, blue 2. When you see those on a label, you know exactly what they are. Synthetic petroleum-based colors that exist only to make the food look better, and that another part of the world thought was worth a warning. Second, the alternatives already exist, and they're everywhere if you look. Colors made from real food. Beet juice for red, turmeric for yellow, paprika, spirulina, purple carrot. The same products colored by ingredients you can actually picture growing. And this matters most for the people these dyes are aimed at, kids. The brightest, most artificially colored foods on the shelf are very often the ones marketed straight at children, which means a parent who knows how to read for these colors has real power to choose differently. You don't need to panic about every bite. You just need to know that fun colors have a story, and now you can read it. Europe decided you had a right to be warned. For years, America decided the name on the back was enough. And only now, finally, are those bright synthetic colors starting to disappear from your shelves. Until they're fully gone, the case stays open. And it's solved the same way every case is. You turn the package over, you read the back, and you decide for yourself. That was this case. The sources are in the description. And if you want to know what else the label isn't telling you, you know what to do.